results of that, we thought a lot of it was, quite frankly, troubling and disappointing. And so I am directing today the Florida Board of Governors to pull the plug on the use of these H-1B visas in our universities. We can do it with our residents in Florida or with Americans. And if we can't do it, then, man, we need to really look deeply about what is going on with this situation. Items that universities are doing. And one of the things that I think has gotten a lot of attention in recent months and even years that needs to be is the use of some of these foreign visas like H-1B visas. This is supposed to be, this is, when people pitch this, say, it's like specialized knowledge. We've got to bring all these people who just, Americans aren't willing to do it, or they don't have we got to do this. And that's the narrative, right? It turns out, these tech companies will fire Americans and hire H-1B at a discount. And they're basically indentured servants because they go in, and they're almost all from one country. They come, they have these brokers that do this, that make a fortune off this with arbitrage. They bring them in, and then they're indentured to the company. So the company can basically pay them low, and they say, no, they got to do this. You have to prove that there's no Americans. They will put an ad in like the classified section of a news. Nobody reads these physical newspapers. We were hiring for here. Like, nobody knows this, right? So it's all become a total scam. And so we've said this is a big problem anyways, nationwide with all this. But then we looked at it in the universities. And if you think about it, they're saying, well, this is so specialized, we can't find Americans to do it. Well, shouldn't universities be able to find it? I mean, like, literally, what you need to run your university, you have it within your capacity to produce those people. So here's what we found on some of the things. You got H-1B computer application coordinators from China, assistant professors from China, public policy professor, China. Why do we need to bring someone China to talk about public policy? Assistant swim coach from Spain on an H-1B visa. Are you kidding me? We can't produce an assistant swim coach in this country. Bioanalytical core director from Poland. A psychologist and counselor from the United Kingdom. Athletic department graphic designer from Canada on an H-1B visa. Athletics operations and communications coordinator, Trinidad and Tobago. Manager of marketing and communications from Albania. Data analyst. We can't produce a data analyst at our universities. Coastal research specialist from China. Assistant Director of Assessment Accreditation. Why are we bringing people in to assess our accreditation on an H-1B visa? We can't do that with our own people. Assistant Professor of Data Science. We can't produce that. I thought that was something that a lot of our schools are focused on. Computer Science Assistant. Environmental Engineering Assistant. Research in the Center of Power Systems, Wuhan, China, Research Faculty and Education Leadership Policy Studies, Assistant Professor of Philosophy, H-1B visa, Assistant Professors in Math and Engineering from China. Again, why aren't we producing math and engineering folks who can do this? We've got hundreds of thousands of people in our state university system. Clinical assistant professor from the West Bank. Clinical assistant professor from supposed Palestine. Why are they? Is that just social justice that they're doing? And that's University of Florida. Agriculture food scientist from Argentina. Assistant professor of engineering from Russia. All these different things that you look at and you're just like, I don't understand. How is that specialized knowledge that only someone from these places can do? A $40,000 job working as an assistant at the athletic department, that's an abuse of this whole idea. And so we saw it, we've seen how it's going on, and my view is especially when you see in the news all these people being laid off by Amazon, UPS, all these companies. We need to make sure our citizens here in Florida are first in line for job opportunities. And if there's things that the universities need that somehow they just can't find in Florida, to me, of all employers, they are the ones that would be most responsible for why they can't find what they need. I mean, we're churning out a lot of people. This should not be that difficult to do. So I think and look, some of this stuff is muscle memory. Some of this stuff is, I guess there's probably reasons why it ends up being this way. But, I think it's a poor reflection on some of the decisions that some of these universities have made, that they're trying to say they need an H-1B visa to do some of these jobs. And clearly some of them are not even close. So this is not like you're taking an Einstein and you're bringing an Einstein from a foreign country to teach all these great things. First of all, you wouldn't even use an H-1B visa for that. You would use an O visa for that. So these are not like super short. This is basically, in some respects, cheap labor that they're bringing in to try to save money. So we saw the results of that. We thought a lot of it was, quite frankly, troubling and disappointing. And so I'm directing today the Florida Board of Governors to pull the plug on the use of these H-1B visas in our universities. We can do it with our residents in Florida or with Americans. And if we can't do it, then, man, we need to really look deeply about what is going on with this situation. 2, grants.